The bookshop beneath the lantern light, a cozy sleep story by the glowing lantern. In the quiet town of Fenwood Hollow, where the air smelled of wood smoke and cinnamon, there sat an old bookshop on the corner of Maple and Wren. It was the kind of place people passed every day without noticing, unless they were looking for something they couldn't quite name. The sign above the door, hand-painted and faded with time, read, "The Glowing Lantern, Stories for the Weary Soul." Inside, the world slowed down. Shelves stretched high, filled with gently used books, their spines soft from years of turning. The floor creaked, like it was whispering secrets. A brass bell chimed softly. Whenever the door opened, though it hardly ever did after dusk. Tonight, the lamps were low. Golden light shimmered from oil lanterns hung from the rafters, casting sleepy shadows across the walls. A kettle hissed in the back room, where someone was steeping chamomile tea. With honey and orange peel, a sleepy black cat named Crumb curled on the windowsill, his paws twitching in a dream. The keeper of the shop, an older woman named Elowen, moved slowly between the shelves, dusting with a feather duster shaped like a fox's tail. She hummed as she worked, a tune no one could quite place, but it made the whole shop feel like it might sigh with contentment at any moment. On the back wall sat a fireplace, framed with stacked books and driftwood. It crackled gently, as if trying not to disturb anyone. A few armchairs circled its warmth, one draped in a knit blanket the color of pumpkin pie, another with a sleepy journal tucked into its cushion, like someone had just stepped away. Every hour on the hour, the lanterns in the shop flickered once, just once, as if acknowledging the passing of time without rushing it along. And every night, just before closing, Elowen would light a final candle in the far corner. She called it the nightlight candle. No one knew why. But she said it helped the stories settle into their dreams. Some say the books rearranged themselves at night. Others swore they heard whispers in the aisles. Not frightening, just soft voices telling stories to the silence. And those who drifted off in the chairs sometimes woke up having dreamt entire tales they'd never read. Or had they? Outside, rain began to fall. A quiet, rhythmic pattering against the windows. The town dimmed, windows glowing warmly from within, and inside the glowing lantern, the world wrapped itself in a blanket of calm. Elowen sat down, finally, in the big red chair by the fire. She opened a book without a title, just a maple leaf pressed into the cover, and as the lanterns blinked once more, the story began. Not loudly, not urgently, but like a memory you'd been waiting to remember. Elowen opened the book with care, as though it were holding its breath. Inside, the pages were old but unmarred, creamy and soft, with handwriting in a rich sepia ink. On the inside cover was a single pressed maple leaf, golden orange, its edges crisp but preserved perfectly in place. A tiny ribbon was tied around its stem. She touched it gently with the tip of her finger and smiled. Not a smile of amusement, but something deeper, something soft and sad and sweet all at once. "You're back," she whispered, not to the book, but to the leaf itself. Crumb the cat opened one eye from the window seat and blinked slowly, as if he knew what came next. Years ago, when the world felt different, Elowen had walked through Fenwood Hollow's forest, just before dusk, heart heavy with something she couldn't name. That was when she found the leaf. It had floated down from a branch, as if placed in her path, and when she picked it up, she felt known. She didn't know by whom or why, but when she placed it in that blank book she found in the attic of the shop, words began to appear, slowly, night after night, only a few lines at a time, always gentle, always comforting, never from her hand. That book became her companion. Through long winters and quiet evenings, and then one day it simply stopped. The pages went blank again. She tucked the book away, pressed the leaf closed within it, and waited, without knowing for what, until tonight. Now new ink filled the next page. Tonight the lanterns burn a little brighter. Tonight the story returns. Elowen turned the page, heart beating calmly but full. As she began to read, the shop grew even quieter. Outside, the rain thickened and the windows fogged with warmth. Crumb stretched, yawned, and moved from the windowsill to her lap. The story within the story was simple. It told of a girl wandering through a sleepy forest, with a letter she was too afraid to read. She stopped in a clearing lit by soft fireflies, where a single lantern hung from a birch tree. Beneath the lantern, she opened the letter. The words were not the ones she expected. They were the words she needed. And as she read them aloud, her voice echoed gently through the woods, not bouncing off the trees, but wrapping around them like yarn. The story ended with her folding the letter and placing it under the lantern, where the wind took it, not away, but upward. Elowen closed the book and exhaled slowly. A tear shimmered, but did not fall. She stood and placed the book on a special shelf behind the counter, beside an old brass key and a dried rose. The shelf was labeled "Return when ready." Just then, the bell above the shop door jingled, not sharply, but with the same softness everything here seemed to carry. A young woman stepped in, soaked from the rain, but smiling. "Sorry," she whispered. "I was just drawn in by the light." Elowen smiled. "You're not the first. Come in. There's tea in the back." The girl stepped inside. Her coat dripped quietly onto the mat. The lanterns above blinked once. Just once. And the fireplace crackled gently, as if welcoming her. Crumb returned to his windowsill, and the leaf, nestled within the storybook behind the counter, glowed faintly for a moment, as though remembering something. Outside, the rain continued, tapping lightly on the windows. The fire burned low. Books whispered among themselves, and the lanterns, faithful as ever, lit the quiet until morning.